All right. Um, yep. Good evening. I hope I'm visible to all of you. Okay. So in yesterday's session, we talked about how exactly IR sensor works. We also, had a brief description of track one, the Codeavour guidelines, what exactly is Codeavour, and then a full-fledged introduction to track two, challenges, some rules and regulations were also discussed. And we also had hands-on with the IR sensors, with this activity that we did. With this, you were able to understand how exactly IR sensor works and what uh, are their role in the track two. So in track two, as I mentioned, there are two ways one can take up the challenges. The first one is manually. That means kids will be using their device to control their robot and to tackle those eight challenges. And then there is autonomously. That means they will be scripting the IR sensors to make the robot move autonomously, means follow the lines and then take the task. So that is something that we explored in yesterday's meeting. So today, what we will be doing, we will be taking a look at how exactly we will be making a line following robot. Since line following robot is something that is very useful, it's going to be the major uptake of this particular track too. And we will also be taking a look at how exactly we can make a line following robot using the advanced line following detection extension, basically. So that is something that we're going to take a look at. Then I will be giving you a few tips and tricks which will help the students and the teams.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yesterday you said track two, it should the student achieve it in 3 or 4 minutes in track two. I think
Right.
that's a little for kids to achieve the end of this track.
I got your
So
point.
yeah, for kids it's so little. So many participants
Right.
use manual to achieve and can't also.
Right.
No,
So you were stating that it's a little too less. So you are asking us
yeah,
to
it's
increase the
little.
time.
It's
That is what you're suggesting us to do.
what?
So you're asking us to increase the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So what happens is, Mr. Wahid, last year we had a thorough discussion about this only, that how much the time should be there for each team. So since the kids will be practicing beforehand, they will also be getting time to calibrate their IR sensors and calibrate their entire robot configurations that they will be pre-building. They will be, of course, practicing before participating as well. So I think this time frame is quite decent because last year we had a very thoughtful process of how exactly we also observed how exactly students are able to cope up with these timings. And as I mentioned yesterday only, there were just one student, not just one student, but all of the teams who participated, they were able to complete the challenges within the time frame only. There were few who weren't able to complete all the eight challenges, but most of the teams who participated were able to tackle more than 5 to 6 challenges within the time frame. So it's just the time frame is just there to make a little more challenging or make a little more exciting for the kids to achieve. And trust me, Mr. Vahi, we will be giving them time to practice over there also, and we will be giving them time to calibrate as well. And once they are confident enough, then they will be competing within the track two challenge, within the arena. So that is why I'm saying the time frame that we have discussed yesterday and the time frame that we have set, it's not just for like for your participants, but it's for every participant who is participating. Same it was last year as well. So I request you not to worry about the timings. Get to understand each and every yes, RO Academy. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One of them, it's about the map. The black
Right.
road
Right. Yeah.
in participle place is cut it. So how they will use automation uh, to drive the car, draw from the left to right.
I will
Uh,
show it to you. I will show it to you. Don't worry. I'll be telling you how to do it. I'll be giving
okay.
you enough hints today so that you will be confident enough to make the entire code by yourself as well. This is what the training of today, this is what the agenda of today's training is. And what was the second question, if I may ask?
Uh, the group of the team. Uh, One of them will make the during the competition will use مثلا the laptop to monitor the processing. What about the other team? What can make useful for the team?
Okay.
How to
So,
uh,
mhm.
divide the rules between the group?
Okay, got it. So you are stating that if what if there are two participants in the team? One will be controlling the robot, what will the other one do, right?
Yes.
Right. So what happens is, in such cases, even I participated when I was a little younger. I also participated in such competitions. And what we used to do is, either we can divide the challenges, like it's depending on the team. You can divide the challenges 4 by 4. You can do so, like four challenges can be taken up by one of the student and four by the other student. Or you can ask the one who is a little more confident to take up the entire challenges, all the 8 ones. And the second one would have been a little more towards the robotic configuration. So, it's like a more of a team collaboration. How exactly a team wants to take up this track too. One can help in building the robot, one can help in making the code. Together, they can also learn how exactly they can tackle those 8 challenges. They can idealize with the same code. They can, make a decision that how exactly they want to take up the competition. And then when they're competing in physical level in nationals or internationals, they will be a little more confident how exactly they have to divide their team. So let's say if I am a little more confident in 1, 2, 3, or 4 challenges, so I will be taking up the first four. The second four or the second batch can be taken up by my partner. So that is something that the team has to figure out. It's more of the students. You can ask them to be as much contributing towards the team, but the team has to figure it out what exactly the team will be doing to maintain that stability within the team. I think that makes sense, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. No worries. Mr. Vahid, coming back to your question, the time frame is actually completely fine. I
No,
request,
I don't think so, man.
yeah. What you can do is, Mr. Ved, you can also type down this concern on the WhatsApp group as well. Because if you type it down, we will also get a good review and we will definitely work on that. If we believe that, because we have tested it out, not with just
You
ourselves.
tested, you
Yes.
tested, yeah? Yeah.
Yes, we have tested it out, not with just our team, but also externally with the students as well. We have done enough dry run with the students from, I would say, very humble backgrounds as well. The underprivileged area students have also tackled these challenges within the time frame only. The ones who don't even know how to code were able to do
Yeah.
this. So
Last
therefore,
year we have experience in Codeavour also. Most of participants uh, make it manually, not autonomous.
right, I get
Yeah,
your point. I
it's
get.
smooth. So I don't think that's fair enough.
Okay, so as I mentioned, that's up to the team. So for the elementary one, there is one option that is either they can do it completely manually or they can do 1 or 2 tasks autonomously. But it's not necessary for them. It's not required for them to do any of the tasks autonomously. But for juniors and seniors, they have to do at least one task or one challenge autonomously. That means one challenge has to be taken up with the line following robot. The rest can be
Mm.
taken up manually. So that's just one difference. That is, one challenge has to be taken up manually. The rest can be, sorry, autonomously. The rest can be taken up manually for junior and seniors. For elementary, it can be completely manually as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
not being biased, but actually it's, as I mentioned, it's up to the team how exactly they want to take up the competition. If they are more comfortable in manually, then they can completely do manually. But if they are falling under senior category, they have to do at least one of the challenge autonomously. And that too is up to them which challenge they want to do autonomously. And I would prefer doing challenge one or challenge two. So as
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mentioned, once they understand how exactly track two works around, what are the challenges, how they have to tackle it, this is something that they will be able to figure out very well. And as I mentioned, Mr. Wahid, we did a lot of dry run with students, and every one of them were able to complete these challenges.
Okay. If you have videos or material for this experience for this testing with children, you can share it. Yeah.
We have already added the materials, the learning resources on the website that I showed you yesterday, right? I will show it to you again today. On the website only, we have added the material for the students and the teachers as well when they want to learn more about track 2 and how exactly they have to code their robot. But we cannot show them the entire code. That is
Yeah.
something they
I
have to
know.
figure out themselves, right? Today also I will be showing you how exactly you can code your robot. I'll be giving you like good amount of hints, but I can't show you the entire code. Then it would be
Oh,
biasness, right?
top secret. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay. If in between any question or any queries that you have or any concern that you have, you can definitely ask me in between as well. I won't mind. And Mr. Vaid, if you really think that it's the time is a little too less for the students, you can put it in the WhatsApp group. Me and my team, we will decide it and we will then come up to a solution if there is some, right?
Okay. Yeah. Right.
All right. So I think it's a good time to move ahead. Yesterday we started up with this script, ended up with this script, not started, sorry, in which we learned about IR sensors and how exactly we can calibrate them. The calibration part can be, can be removed for the kids only because they will be using the advanced line following extension, which I will be coming up to very shortly. But before that, let's make the simple line following robot. So the line following robot, as I mentioned, uses a logic. And this is the logic that line following robot uses. So whenever the green flag is pressed, it will set the sensor's threshold. That means the threshold of the IR sensors that is at the behind of the core key. The threshold means the confidence level that we took out in yesterday's session. That same threshold we will be setting up, and the core key will initialize that threshold when the green flag will be pressed. When the both sensors are active, it will stop the robot. That means when the both sensors are on black line, it will stop the robot. When if the left sensor is active, that means the robot is going a little towards right hand side. So it will reverse itself, it will reverse in direction to make it come between the black line. I know understanding it through this particular smart art would be a little difficult. I will show it to you with the help of code as well as live demonstration. So without further ado, let's dig into the code. This is the simple code that is required to make a line following robot with core key. What are we doing over here? The first thing is we are setting up the L and R sensors thresholds. The same block that we used in yesterday's session, we have to use it over here as well. Then we are setting up the parameter F, T1 and T2. Now a lot of kids who are working for Codeavour, who are making their projects, not just for track 1, but also for track 2, they will be wondering which block to use, or they must be wondering what is the requirement of this block, or how can I understand this block. So for that, what we have done, we have made an extensions page. Let me show it to you. This extension page is something that helps out the kids to understand about each and every block in detail. I'm presenting my screen to the extensions page. This page is something that is very helpful for the kids. As you can see, It's like an encyclopedia of picto blocks. This is where they will be able to get all details about each and every block palette or Python function. So let's say I want to go to Corky, and this is the extension of sensors or robot. Let's check out the robot one. So as you can see, each and every block is over here. And if you click on the block, a detailed description page will be opened, in which you will be able to understand what is F and what is T1 and T2. So F is the speed of robot by which it will move forward when it has not detected a black line. That means when it is following the black line, at how much speed it will be going forward. Just like this one. It's going forward the speed of, let's say, 30 or 40. So F defines the speed. Then T1 defines the speed of motor when it will be moving forward. So let's say I want to detect this, or I want to set this motor speed moving forward and backward. This T1 is for moving motors forward, and T2 is making the motors move backward. That means it's there to make the robot turn left and right. You understand? When one wheel or when one particular wheel is moving forward or backward, the robot will automatically turn itself. That is what the criteria is like. Same way, we are using these three parameters to set up the robot moving direction. That means forward direction speed. It's moving the robot's T1, that means moving forward, but the motor forward speed, then T2 making the motor backward speed. That is what we are doing in this particular block. Same way, if you want to understand what other blocks are doing, you can check it out. So let's say if we want to check out what is the do line following block do. So there is an explanation of that as well. So this is something that will help kids to understand each and every block in detail, and something that will help them to get or grab the perfect block for their code. Not just this, but you can check out at the right hand side each and every extension that is there in vector blocks is well explained over here. AI extension, the scratch based extensions, the innovative extensions, machine learning environment, core key extensions, everything is explained over here. So this is something will help out, which will help out the kids to stand out when they are preparing their codes. Okay, so let's move to picto blocks and let's connect our core key. So I will turn on the core key, right? Just give me a moment, please. All right. So after turning on the core key, my core key is turned on. Now I'll be going to board and select core key. Bluetooth ports. Let me also run the PictoBlocks link. Click on refresh. Since my PictoBlocks link is running now. I have, okay, yeah, there you go. Now my core key is connected. I hope you can see. So now what we will be doing, first thing first, we want to initialize its values, the L and R values. In yesterday's session, the L and R values were coming out to be in between 48 to 1600, and the R1 was coming out to be 35 to 1000. So R we set up as 800 and it was working perfectly fine. The L sensor we set up at 1200 and it was working perfectly fine as well. So there we go. Now, whenever we click on the green flag, first we want to set the L and R values. After this, what do we want to do? Once we are done setting up the the IR sensor left and right IR sensor values, we want to set the parameters. Which one? Which I was talking about. Let's go to robot and set the parameters. So we are going to keep it as default only because I think default is much better. We won't be changing it, but when you are practicing it, I will personally recommend you to change it so that you can see the difference between different values. After this, it's very simple. Just grab this two-line following block and also grab the stop robot block and place all of it inside a forever loop. Simple as that. This is a simple line following robot code. With this, your robot will be able to move and follow the line seamlessly without any errors or interventions. So this is how it will be doing it. All right. Now, any questions like for this particular activity? And do you have your kids with you? If you have, can you please practice it side by side?
I need to ask about the stop robot. When will stop robot if there is no black road or it's
Right.
like
If
a
there is
for
no
loop?
black road, and if you feel like the robot is not doing the line following, it will stop the robot. So let's say if the value over here, we are setting up it as 100. And because it is 100, by mistake, my robot took a very like deep turn towards the right hand side. Because of that, the robot got out of the lines. Then the robot will stop. This is just to stop the robot if any mishaps in the code takes place. That's it.
Come on. Okay.
Right. So test out this activity. I personally and humbly request it to you. Test out all of the activities that we are doing so that you also feel confident once you are, passing that knowledge to the kids. And of course, whenever you test it out, make sure that you save the code. You can have your, all right, you can just save it as, hit save, and there you go. Good to go. You can change the name from here as well. Line following robot and then save again. So this is how you can save your project and move forward. Now, this is one way by which students can do their line following robot activities. But for track 2, they need one particular extension. And that extension is advanced line following robot extension. Now, what's the difference between two? Let me clarify it and make it very easy for you. In this particular activity, there were two parts, if you remember. The first one was when we calibrated the IR sensors, when we got the IR sensor values, right? That was the first time when we were making the corky blink the lights red and green that we did in the yesterday's session. That was getting the IR values of left and right sensors, the left and right IR sensor values. So basically, we first calibrated the IR sensors. We got the thresholds of both the L and R IR sensors. After this, we did the second part, which was we defined the thresholds. We set up the forward T1 and T2 parameters, and then we did the line following. Simple. But when you are using the advanced line following extension, you need not to do the entire procedure. All you need to do is this block will calibrate your IR sensor itself. But you need to stack up few more blocks to make this particular calibration easier. So it will be making calibration automatically. Simple as that. So now for this, I will be removing this particular block and this as well. Now what we'll be doing, first thing first, we will be creating our own variables. That means we will be, making our own blocks. So we'll be going to make a block and we'll click this make a block. And over here, we will define the block name as, we want it as a label. So I want it to be defined as initialize, right? And okay. So we got this initialize function or initialize block over here. So what do we want to do? First, we want to initialize the IR sensor values. So for this, what we'll be doing, we will be calibrating the IR sensors. First, initialize two IR sensors of the line following robot. That is what we want to do because we only have two IR sensors. But if the student is using Creator's Kit, they can add up one more IR sensor over here. They can do that as well. So that's up to them whether they want to use two or three IR sensors. So first of all, grab this block where we will initialize two IR sensors. There are only two options, two or three. In this case, we are grabbing the second, the two option. That means we only have two IR sensor with us. So initialize two IR advanced line following. Simple as that. After this, what do we want to do? We want to set the turn speed. If you remember, we used to set the forward speed with the F, turn speed with T1 and T2, right? But over here, we will be setting the turn speed with this. So let's set it up to 40 or 35 because I want to test it out. Therefore, I'm going to start with little slow speed. After I'm done with this turning speed, what do I want to do? I want to, okay, there is somebody want to enter. Okay. What I want to do is I want to change.
T1, forward and backward.
You're right.
T1 and T2.
Right. We will be doing that as well. For this turn one, we are using 50. The F was for forward, T1 and T2 was for turning forward and backward. A wheel, not just the robot, a wheel I was talking about. So the turn speed over here, I've set it up as 35. Now what do we want to do? We want to change the left IR sensor and right IR sensor to the left and right of the core key IR sensors. Simple. Basically, we are telling picture blocks that the left one is left IR sensor and the right one is right IR sensor. Now you must be wondering, Vivek, what's the need of this? So in case if a student is using three IR sensor, we want to tell picture blocks where is the third one. So in this case, as you can see, we can change it left or right, and then we can change in which pin the IR sensor is connected to. So let me show you, I will be showing you one more image by which you will be able to understand how exactly the IR sensors were set up. So L and R are now set up. After this particular thing, what do we want to do is we want to set the PID values. Now, this is very important to understand. So I want you to try to understand it as much as possible and ask me question once I'm done. Okay. Using this block, we want to set the PID values of KP, KI, and KD constant. Now, if you're wondering, Vivek, how can we explain it to students? How can we understand it in more detail? For this, it's very simple. As I mentioned, we have this entire page for all of you. You can go to advanced line following robot extension, go to the blogs, click on this one. Sorry, we had to click on the other one. I'm really sorry. This one, that is what we are using. And its entire description is written over here. But I will be explaining it to you in very layman's language. So over here, the PID stands for proportional, integral, and derivative, right? Basically, what you have to do is imagine that your robot is playing a game where it has to follow a line on ground. But sometimes it might wiggle off the line. It's very simple. Sometimes when you're making a line following robot, it might get off the line. So the PID controller is like a very super smart helper that keeps the robot on the track constantly by adjusting how it moves. So that is what the work of the PID is. It's like a super smart helper which is going to help and which is going to act like a controller to make the robot stay on the line constantly. You were asking now that Vivek, how the robot will turn, will not, how the robot will be able to make turns and be a little more precise during the line following. This is how it will be doing it. We will be setting its PID values. Now, the P stands for proportional, as I mentioned. The proportional, which is the P, it acts like it's this particular part acts immediately. So let's say if the robot is drifting too far on the one side. So let's say if the robot is drifting one side a little too far. So it will quickly steer back the robot to the left. So it's like when you are steering your bike back on the track when you go off the road, or you are steering back your car when you're going off the road. It's going to act immediately. So that is what the P or the proportional will do. The I, which is integral, what this will do, it's like a memory. It's like a brain. So if the robot has been off the line for a while, it gives a bigger nudge or a bigger push back to the robot where it belongs. So it basically makes sure that the robot doesn't stay lost for too long. So in this case, basically, if you see Tesla car, the Tesla robot car, which is the automatic cars that we have, the ones that drive by itself, that robot, that cars also use this technology, which is PID technology. By integral of PID, it gets back on the track and doesn't stay off the track for too long. So that is what the value, or that is what the I of PID will do, which is standing for integral. Then we are going to D, which is derivative. So D is basically very easy part. This is something very super smart also. Basically, it predicts the future. First, P was acting very smartly. It was steering the robot back on track super fast. I, integral, it was making sure that a robot is not staying out of the track for too long. Then D, it predicts the future. So basically, D, which is derivative, it notices how fast the robot is drifting and how gently it has to slow down the corrections to prevent the robot from zigzagging. I mentioned the wiggling part. So to make the robot a little more firm while following the line, we want it to be very precise and not zigzag, not wiggle around. For that prevention, we use the D, which is derivative, right? So it's like when you are running towards a line, you slow down just to just in time to stop perfectly, right? So when you are running forward, you slow down yourself so that you stay on the path, or you check yourself to stay on the path. And when you are at the coming at the end of the line, you slow down your speed. Same way derivative works. P is for how the robot will quickly steer back to the line. I, which is integral, it will check if the robot is not staying off the road, off the line for too long. Then D, which is derivative, it will predict the future and make the robot less wiggly. That is what the PID will be doing. Basically, it's a very super smart controller which will control the robot and make it precisely follow the line. So I hope you got this point. I hope you understood what the PID stands for and what is PID doing basically. Any questions in this?
It's clear. But I have a question. Maybe take us to when we begin to programming. You begin with blocks, and after that you say no. All of this will leave it and will use another
I'm following.
blocks.
Right. Okay.
Understand me? Why
Reason.
we why we explain what about the right and left and the value of 800 for L and L value have 1200, and after that we take all of that and begin with new programming.
Okay, that's a very, very good question. So now coming to answering this question in a very layman's language again. So when we are teaching some new concepts to students or to anybody, we start off the basics. We first want to make sure that the student understand how exactly the backend works, right? We want them to understand how exactly IR sensor works, how exactly they can calibrate the IR sensor and get its value. Then we tell them that, hey, there is another method to do this particular part. And that is what you will be using for the track 2. But if you directly start from this part, kids will be very confused. First, they will not know what is IR sensor. Second, they will not know what is the difference between L and R IR sensors. They will not know how to initialize them, what is the initialized process, and how they will be calibrating it when they will be programming it over there for track 2. So that is why it's basically like you don't start off kids by teaching them how to read a sentence. You start off them with them how to write, how to pronounce a word, how to break a word and then pronounce it, and then start reading sentences. So it is a part of process only. First, we want
Thank
them
you.
to understand what is IR. Then we want them to understand how exactly IR sensor works, how to calibrate them, and then we are coming to track 2 participation and how exactly they will be participating and coding in track 2. That is what the flow was. I hope that makes sense now.
Yes, thank you.
No worries. That's a very good question. I really appreciate you asking such questions because, of course, I want you also to be more clear because you will be passing on this knowledge to the students. So you can ask me any question anytime and I won't mind it. Okay. So now you have understood what is PID. So if there is any question for the same, you can ask me anytime. No worries. Okay. Now moving towards, you might be wondering what is KP, KI, and KD. Now, this is something that again you need to understand very carefully. So these are the values that are there by default. And you can check it out in the picto blocks as well, that these are the values that are there by default. I prefer not changing it because these values are perfectly fine and there is no need to change these values. But I will explain it to you what exactly it means. KP basically stands for proportional gain. It basically controls how strongly the system will react to the current error, right? It basically is setting the value of P. That means it is setting the value of how exactly or how fastly the robot will be steering back to the line. K is basically just for the value type, but P over here is for the proportion of PID. Okay, I hope you got that. KP basically helps us to understand how exactly or how strongly the robot will be steering back to the line or to make sure that the robot is following the line and how strongly or how effectively it will be able to detect the errors. Errors mean going off the lines, right? So KP, when it is higher, so if the KP value is higher, it's going to react faster to errors, but it may become unstable, right? So let's say if you are driving your car and it's at the speed of 40 or 60 or 70 or at a higher speed, And if you steer your car very fastly towards the right hand side, your car will be unstable. It will wiggle around. Same way over here. If we set the KP value higher, the car will wiggle around a lot. Then we have KP when it is lower. It will respond slowly, but it will be more stable. Therefore, the KP value over here that we have set is 0.8, which is perfectly fine. It will be moderately slow as well as moderately fast. It will not make our robot unstable. Right. After this, we are coming to KI. So PID stands for proportional, integral, and then derivative. We already know how to set the value of proportional. Now we are coming to how to set the value of integral. What was integral part? It was how strongly the system will react to the how strongly the system will react to the accumulation of past errors or errors that have been happening over time. Basically, let's say if I am not able to pronounce beautiful correctly, I don't know what's the spelling of beautiful. And my teachers have been telling me that Vivek, beautiful is like you have to spell beautiful like this. You have to spell beautiful like that. In such cases, what the teachers do, they react to those particular errors that have been happening for a longer period of time. So let's say if you are teaching in your class and you understand that a lot of students whom I'm teaching, they're not able to understand what is IR sensor. That is a constant error that has been happening in my class. So what I will do for those errors? Same way, KI is basically how the robot will react to those past errors that have been occurring time by time. Okay, so now if the KI value is higher, let's say if it is higher in value, it will help to eliminate steady state errors, errors that don't go away over time, but too much can make the system oscillate. Basically, if the I value or KI value is set up to be higher, it will eliminate those errors, but it will make the system a little more heavy. It will, make the system more bulky, make the code more heavy. The file will be heavy. So that process time will be increased. But when it is lower, it provides slower correction for long lasting errors. So therefore, keeping it also moderate will help you out in this case. And then as you can see in our case, the KI value is set up as 0.01, which is lower, not even moderate. And then we have KD. We have already learned about P, we have learned about I and how to set P, KP, KI. Now we are coming to D, which was derivative. Now, KD is basically how the robot will control the system and how strongly the system will react to the rate of change of those errors. So basically, how quickly the error is changing. Remember what I told you about derivative. Derivative was how exactly the robot is able to predict the future. So KD is basically how quickly the future is changing, how quickly the errors are changing, how quickly I can help out to make the robot more smooth, reduce the overshooting time, reduce the response weight, so that my system is not reacting slower. So when the KD, which is the derivative gain, is higher in value, it helps to smooth out the response and reducing the by reducing the time, but can make the system slower to react. It will reduce the time of handling the errors, but it will make the entire code a little slow. And if the KD value is low, it may lead to faster but less stable adjustments. So let's say if I am teaching my class how to pronounce how to write ABCD in just one lecture. Will they be getting stable answers in the next class? Will they be able to pronounce a word just after one lecture of explaining them how exactly what exactly ABCD is or alphabets is? They will not be able to. So same way over here, we have to make sure that the value is set up in between moderately so that the derivative, the future that will be predicted is perfectly fine, or it's constant all around. It's stable, and this PID again will help the robot to be super smart and control itself while doing the line following. Now, any questions about PID, KP, KI, or KD? I know it's a lot to absorb in, but I strongly recommend you to go through the website, test it out yourself, test out how exactly it is working, and once you do hands-on, you will see the difference between different values. Yes, RO Academy.
What about the value, the range of the value for each KB, KR, KD?
Right,
The range from what the high, what the low?
right. So over here, it is also mentioned how to get those values. As I personally recommend you, do not change it. Don't ask kids to change it. But let's say if there are participants who are participating from senior category or from junior elementary also, ask them or explain them this, how exactly values will be changed, how exactly they can get the values. And once they do so, this will help them to understand what is the requirement and how we have to keep those values in a place that it balances out the entire robot and makes it a little more stable. Not a little more, but very stable. As over here, if you initialize 3 IR line following, use the KP as less than or equal to 7 for better results. So therefore, I ask you to go through the entire course also that we have added so that those will help out not just you, but the kids also about each and every block, about each and every block's function and how to get its value. Right? I hope I make sense over here. Okay. All right, now let's move back to vector blocks. Kindly give me a moment. All right. Now, after setting the values and everything that we have done so far, what do we want to do is we want to set the speed. RO Academy was talking about how exactly we have to set the speed of making the robot move forward, backward, left, and right. Now is the time to do that. We already have initialized the robot. We have set its turning speed. We have changed the IR, L, and R values. We have set the KP, KI, and KD. That means the PID values we have already set, which will make the robot control itself while doing line following. Now we will be setting the speed. So for this, we will use the speed set PID speed parameter base to 40, minimum 0, maximum 80. That means max or base speed will be 40. That means it will be going forward at the speed of 40. Minimum speed, that means let's say if there is an error, or let's say if there is a point where I'm stopping the robot while I'm making my track 2 code, I can put the speed as 0 as minimum, and maximum speed of the robot will be 80. So that is what this particular block will be doing. Right. And again, if you want to check out its explanation, you can head back to the website. And over here, you can check the values and how exactly it is working around. Let's just wait for it to load. And basically, you can see the base speed is the speed during the line following. Minimum speed is the minimum motor speed when the robot is turning. And max speed is the maximum motor speed when the robot turns and the black line is detected. So that is what this base, minimum, and maximum will do. Base is basically F, minimum is basically T1, and maximum is basically T2. I hope, therefore, I mentioned when you start off with the basics, you have to tell them what is IR sensor. You have to show them how to calibrate IR sensor. This will help them to understand how exactly IR sensor works and what's the basic code of line following robot and what's the difference between the basic one and the advanced one. Because we want their roots to be a little more deep, little more clean, so that once they understand everything, their base, their foundation will be clear. They will be able to do and give top-notch results in track 2. That is why start with the very basic part and then move to the track 2 part. Okay, now let's go back to PictoBlocks. We have set its parameters of a base, minimum, and a maximum. Now, the last part will be calibrating the IR sensors. That's it. Now, whenever I will call this initialize function, calling means whenever I will call it with the help of this block. With this block, this will run. If you can see, when I'm clicking on it, this entire code is running. So it's basically a function, initialize function, and it's calling name, right? So upon calling this function, this entire block of code will run or will execute. Okay. Now we have understood how exactly we have to calibrate our IR sensor. But what about line following? So again, we will make a block. We will add a label name as line following. Click on OK. So we have the function block over here. Now, simple as that, we have to again go in the advanced line following and do the line following until checkpoint 1 is detected. Now, RO Academy, there was one question that you asked which caught my interest. Of course, I of course planned to explain it to you, but you asked it to me before I explained. That's of course very nice of you because this makes me understand that yes, everybody over here is attentive in the class. Okay, let me show it to you. What do you mean by checkpoints? All right, I'm presenting my screen once again. There you go. Let's go for track 2. I'm opening the track 2 page and I'm opening and showing you the arena. All right. Okay. Oops. So we use the block, do the line following until checkpoint 1. Over here, if you can see, we have various checkpoints. This is the first checkpoint. This is the second checkpoint. This is the third checkpoint. But let's say at the second checkpoint, I want the robot to take a left turn and perform the first task. That means do the line following until checkpoint 1, until checkpoint 2. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm showing you how to do or how to perform the first task autonomously. Okay, that is what I'm going to show you. So I will again go back to PictoBlocks. I think you have understood what the checkpoint means. This is checkpoint. This is checkpoint 1. This is checkpoint 2. Checkpoint means which intersection is forward to the robot. So let's say if my robot is standing over here, but it's facing towards this side. So what will be the next checkpoint? This will be the next checkpoint. So this will be the first checkpoint when my robot is standing over here, right? It's a basic part that I explained. Okay, let's move back to PictoBlocks then. So what do I want to do? I want to do line following until 2 checkpoints. Yes, RO Academy, yeah.
Before moving the initial, uh, tell us little about the collaborative IR sensor. What doing?
Okay, perfect. So I told you that before calibrating the IR sensor, I have to initialize and I have to do every back end part as a front end now. I was When I calibrated my IR sensor, what I did, I got the IR sensor values, I set up its speeds and set up its threshold. That's it. That was I was doing in the previous activities, right? But in this activity, what I want to do is I want to first initialize those two sensors. I have to tell their turning speed. I have to tell which left sensor is to which left and which right sensor is to which right, right? So over here, I'm changing the left IR sensor to left IR sensor and right IR sensor to right one. Why I'm doing it? In some cases, kids have been seen, they are using the creator's kit in which they add three IR sensor over here. One, two, three. One in the middle, one on the right, and one on the left. That is what they are doing. Therefore, we have these two blocks, which will change the left to L, right to R, or to any of these pins, A1, A2, A3. That is what we are doing. Very simple, very easy. I will show it to you. I have a picture, but it's in my phone, but I will show you to before the class ends. Then what we are doing, we are setting the PID values. PID is basically the controller. How exactly we want the Corky robot to act super smartly when it is doing the line following. How exactly we want the proportional, integral, and derivative values to be. That is what we are doing. Then we are setting up its speed, base, minimum, and maximum values of turning, and the base speed which at which it will be going forward. After this, we are using this calibrate IR sensor. This is basically like a hat block, but we'll be adding it at the end. It's like a hat block, but it's been added at the end. This will entirely calibrate the IR sensor based on these values that we have initialized over here. That is why this entire block of code, I have defined it into initialize function, because this is the backhand process of calibrating the IR sensor. Simple as that. I think I must say that you might have got it.
Yes, yes, okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah. So I think everybody's clear about the checkpoints. Any question about the checkpoints? Checkpoints are very easy. You must have understood what the checkpoint is. Or if you have any question, just do let me know. I will be more than happy to repeat it 100 times because I want you to be confident about passing on the knowledge to the kids. So if you have any question, let me know, stop me in the middle and I will be happy, to be honest. Okay, that means the checkpoints are also clear to all of you. All right. Okay, in this case, what I've done is I've defined it as line following, but when kids are making their code, they can define it as challenge 1. That is something that they can also do. Simple as that, right? Challenge 1. So challenge 1, what I want to do, I want to do line following until the second checkpoint is detected. After the second checkpoint is detected, that means my robot will be stopped where? It will be stopped right over here. I will annotate. It will be stopped right over here. My robot will be facing this way, forward. When it is facing forward, what I want to do, I want to make it turn left, right? So that it is facing this way. So for this, I will again go back to PictoBlocks and code it. I will be doing side-by-side explanation. So please bear with me. After this, I want to turn it, right? So I want to turn the IR sensor or turn the robot towards left hand side. So with this, we also have the pins also that you can do. We have the set. Okay, I think that's not a point to do. Okay, right. After this is done, what I want to do, I want the robot to, or let's say, run the left motor or right motor. In this case, when the robot is like this, it's facing forward. So I want to run the right motor forward so that it can take a left turn. So I want to run or I want to learn the left motor forward for at the speed of 100. Right. That's good to go. Or what I can do is I can get this as well. Go left at speed of 40% for 1 second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds. It's up to the speed, it's up to the robot, it's up to the robot size. So that will be changed, of course. That will be changed according to the different robot configuration. But let's suppose this is the accurate speed and seconds it is taking to take a left turn. Done. After taking a left turn, what do I want to do? My robot is now facing towards this side. It's facing towards this side. What I want to do, I want to follow or do the line following until checkpoint 1. Because again, this will be the first checkpoint after taking the turn. Simple as that. I will again go back to picture blocks. Let me share multiple screen because this will help. Right. Okay. Now what do I want to do? After this, again, I want to do line following until checkpoint 1 detected. Right. Now the checkpoint 1 is detected. In this case, my robot will be standing over here, right over here. But where it will be facing? It will be facing this side. I don't want it to face this side. I want it to take a left turn again. Same thing that I want to do. Okay. Oh my God, I've stopped sharing by mistake. So in this case, what I want to do, I want again to go left. Simple as that. Go left at speed of 40% for 2 seconds or 3 seconds, as I mentioned, that will be changed according to your robot configuration and its size. After this, my robot will be facing forward. My robot will be facing forward this way. Now I want to again do line following until checkpoint 1 detecting because this is the last checkpoint, right? So in this case, again, what I will do, I will go over here and do line following until checkpoint 1 detected. Now, at this checkpoint, the robot will stop. This checkpoint, the robot will stop. Now you have to code the robot to grab the first block. Simple as that. That is something that you will be figuring it out. I am not going to tell you the entire code. So this is how you will be able to do line following and code your robot accordingly. Simple. Now, let's say if not the first one, you want to take up the sixth challenge autonomously. The code will be different. It will be do the line following until checkpoint 1 and 2. After this, take a right turn and do the line following until checkpoint 1 and 2. After that, it will be facing towards this side. So that means take a left turn and then again do line following until checkpoint 1 and then do this particular challenge. That means flip the solar panels. Simple as that. That's it. This is how you do it. And trust me, once you understand how exactly IR sensor works and what is the science behind the IR sensor, then coding for these challenges will be very easy. And Mr. Waheed, if I tell you, once you understand how exactly the code works, you will see how fastly students will be able to do all the 8 challenges. And I have to tell you, once they understand, once they crack up that secret formula, they will be able to perform all these activities in 2 minutes. Trust me, they will be. All they need to do is just be more precise, practice as much as possible, and then take it up and take a blast in track 2 physically in nationals and internationals. So this is how you do advanced line following robot in picture blocks. Same way you can go in my blocks, define for challenge 2, challenge 3, challenge 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you want to take up all the challenges automatically or autonomously, you can do that as well. If not, then you can simply do the simple code, which is When the green flag is clicked, in a forever loop, if sensing up arrow is pressed, make the robot move forward at the speed of 100%, or you can decrease the speed to make it 50 for 1 second. Same way for down arrow, backward, sorry. Same way for left and right. That's it. Simple as that. This is the code for manual robot. If you are using Dabble, what you can do is go over here, Dabble, and then if up is pressed, then do this. If down is pressed, then do this. Same way you have to code it for the Dabble one. Easy, very simple, not an issue. But I have to say, I would personally recommend each and every student to at least do 1 or 2 challenges autonomously. Because of course, when they're doing challenges autonomously, they will get double score for each challenge. So the manual one will be getting 10 and the autonomously one will be getting 20. Mr. Vaid, that is also one option. You were telling me now that Vivek, everyone is doing manually. That is not fair. We have made it fair. The ones who are doing it autonomously, they will get double score. In the video that I showed to you yesterday, it is also mentioned, and in the score sheet also, the autonomously will be they will be scored differently than manually. So this is how you have to take up the track 2 challenges. Very easy, very simple. But once you understand and once you practice it yourself, then you will see how exactly and how easy it is. Yes, Arav Academy.
Uh, there is a way to make all the 8 mission automatic
Yes, there is. There is.
because there is a trick in the map. There is a area without black road
This one you
to
are
get
saying,
to.
right?
Yes, here. How we can do
You
it?
have to figure it out. I'm telling you, it's very easy. It's very easy.
It's very easy.
It is very easy. It's very easy. Once you figure it out, that is why I'm saying, let it be a little more exciting for you as well. So that you, once you are also practicing, then you can see that, wow, this task is very easy. You will be able to do it very fast. And there is a curve also. Then you might
I
think how the
just
curve will be doing.
Yes, this uh, the road here we need to adjust the speed
Right,
to make it curve.
right. True. That is what you have to do. Adjust the speed and also set the threshold in such a way that it is more precise. And this is how you can, when you were setting the turning speed at 50, you can make it less. That is why I set the speed as 35. So that the turning speed is a little less, but my robot is more stable. Because stable robot will be better than unstable robot because there will be more chances of the robot going off the line and then a foul card will be called off. So instead of that, it is better to be a little more stable and precise rather than to be fast and unstable. Right? If you agree with me. So yeah, any other questions? Because that concludes the track 2 training. If you have any questions regarding any of challenges or any of the code that we did, PID, KP, KI, it is a little difficult once you're just understanding without any practical knowledge. I understand it. But as I mentioned, once you do hands-on with these blocks, you will see that how easy they are. Now you can see once the initialization is done, challenge one code is very easy. Same way challenge two code can be done. 3, 4. And I would recommend at least doing at least two of the challenges autonomously. Make it a little more challenge for the kids as well. Once you, because even you have to be the one who will be inspiring them, motivating them that, hey, the time is not too less. It's a little too much for you. So tell them that the time is very much fine. The timestamp is perfectly fine for them to tackle all the challenges. All they have to do is practice. And as there's a very nice saying that practice makes a man perfect. And once they practice it very hard, they will be able to, nobody will be able to stop them to win in track too. That's it. And when I was talking about the girl who participated from grade 6th in India, she was coming from an underprivileged background. She had no laptop, no device. She was doing it with the help of her teachers, with help of her mentors. And when she wasn't even very fluent in English. She didn't know how to code. She didn't know what is picture blocks. She took help of the learning resources, learned everything, made the code, practiced it. Then I had a word with her. Then she told me that the entire code was working, but there was some errors. And then she, debugged the code, then practiced again. Then she was like, the code was working perfectly fine, but it was a little too slow. Then she made some changes in the code, made it a little more fast, just a little more fast. Then she was able to complete all those 8 challenges during the competition within 2 minutes and 7 seconds. That's it. So therefore, I'm telling you, when there is a will, there is no stopping, or nobody will be able to stop a student. But the student has to have the will. They should be inspired and motivated through your end, because I am the one who is motivating you, inspiring you that, hey, there is a lot of time. Don't worry. Don't, everything has a option to debug. You have a lot of time to try out activities yourself. And once you do that, then only you will be confident enough to take up 8 challenges autonomously, or two autonomously, and then rest of them manually. So this is something that I think once you get hands-on and once you get motivated, then you will also feel that, yes, it's very easy. And trust me, it is. Just hands-on and just more courage and will is required. Everything is possible. All right. Now this concludes our training for track 2. Now some more tips and tricks will be: make sure that the robot is very stable. Make sure that the parts are not like too tight. So let's say if there is a part which is picking up the robot, like you have the pick and place robot or the quirky pick and place robot. If you tight up the screw a little too tight, it will not be able to pick up any boxes. So make sure that the screws are not too tight. The joints are not too tight, because if the joints are tight, the robot will not be able to pick up the boxes, and then you will not be getting the time to make the changes in your robot. So that is something that I was able to see when during the track, during Codeavour 5.0 International, that the students, they mistakenly made the joints too tight, and then their robot was not able to pick up the boxes perfectly. And of course, time, each second, each millisecond counts. Each millisecond counts. And just because of that, their team was not able to win. So make sure the joints are not too tight, they are not too free, they are perfectly moderate so that the boxes can be picked up. Make sure that the machine learning model is very accurate. We have already provided you this over here. So you can see that this sheet, the resource sheet, which is added over here, will give them the image of these two batteries, wet and dry batteries, the expired ones, and they can print this, they can cut it out and scan it in the image model and make a image machine learning model, which will be working perfectly fine. Click as many pictures as possible in different light settings, in different angles. And if you have your ultimate kit, in ultimate kit, we already provide with one box paste this on one of the boxes and make click pictures of it as well, upload as many images, make the model very strong and precise, and then as I mentioned it to you, you will be able to do this challenge number 5 very easily as well, right? And it is mentioned this print page is A4 paper size for the actual size of the images. So this, once you print it on A4, this will be the actual size of the box. So all you have to do is cut it out and paste it one on the box of the ultimate kit and then make the machine learning model. Very easy, very simple. Okay. Now, if you have any doubts or any questions, please feel free to ask me and I will be more than happy to help you out. Anybody? Yes, Aro Academy. Yeah.
I wonder about the Black Road. There is fault or there is mistake if the robot through in white area.
If the robot is in white area, no foul will be there. But if the robot completely moves off the path, then there will be a foul.
Again, please.
Okay, so let me present my screen and show it to you. Just give me a second. Yeah. So you are saying if the robot is, where is, okay. Yeah. So you're saying if the robot goes off this and is on the white line or the white part, right? There will be no foul.
Yes.
But if the robot goes off the white part, goes onto the land or these swings or this graphic, then there will be a foul. Then a foul will be called off.
Okay. طيب, what about the green area? There is some green area, but not in the space of mission.
Right, this one you were saying, right?
No, not here.
This
No, no, no. In front, next to 4.
next to 4. Okay, this
Yes,
one.
in the left. In the left, the no, 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 not here. 3,
Right.
below 3.
Okay,
Yes, yes, here there is some like uh
these one, right? Yeah,
this one.
yeah. If the robot touches this also, then also a foul will be called.
It's foul.
Yes, it will be a foul. So what you have to do if you're doing, let's say if you're doing third task automatically or autonomously, make sure it is taking a turn and then moving forward and then stopping over here. Then make it go backward. Make it go backward till here and then turn around and go another direction. That is what you have to do. All right, I think I make sense over here. Okay, any other question? RO Academy, Mr. Waheed, or anybody? Or are we good to go?
Clear.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, and I very humbly requested to you all, practice, because practice makes a man perfect. Practice as much as you can. Make sure that you are passing on this entire training knowledge to the kids. Help them build their robot configurations. Motivate them, inspire them, tell them that to not to lose their will. Make them practice as much as possible, and then compete. And I'm telling you, once you follow these things, nobody will be able to stop you to win. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating. If you have any other questions, you can drop it down on the WhatsApp group. I will be there entire time to help you out anytime, and the entire team will be there too. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Thank you so much. I'll be sharing the recording on WhatsApp. Thank you.